Hi, my name's Mark. I'm one of the pastors here at Trillium. My mom's birthday was last Sunday, so on the weekend, my wife and myself and my daughter, we went down and took her out for dinner to celebrate her birthday. And we went to a restaurant, and we went to a booth, and we started playing cards. We had this little simple card game that we play amongst ourselves called Kaboo. And we're playing it, we're teaching my mom how to play it. And the waitress walked over, and she commended us for playing cards together and engaging each other. And she just made a quick comment that so many people come in and then they sit down in the booth as a family, and then they go to their phones and they start tapping away and they look at their phones, and there's almost no engagement with the other people at the table. And it got me thinking about the fact that, we see in the church today people are really isolated. People come to us all the time now. They come to join into the fellowship of the church, or they come looking for services from the church. And their lives are so thin because they're so rooted in a kind of hyper-individualism. And people's lives become frailer and frailer and frailer, so that when crisis comes, as it inevitably does, or some kind of difficulty or challenge, they just have no resources to draw on. They don't have that web of connections with others to draw in when they need help. And nor are they part of that web of connection that provides support and care for others when they themselves are in difficulties. And we're seeing this all the time now in the church. And people's lives are becoming frailer and thinner as they meet the challenges of life. And that kind of worries me a bit. And I think it's connected to what people do when they get together for dinner at a restaurant or even around the table. Are they connected to one another? Last week we talked a lot about our stuff, how our stuff runs our lives, how our stuff directs our lives. Our stuff becomes the chains by which we are, in a sense, held down from living out life as we are meant to. And we've allowed our stuff to have such control over ourselves that those important things in life, things that matter the most, get forgotten or put on the back burner. We had a funeral service in the church yesterday. An older woman who really kind of lived out a different way of life. She had a different ambition than the world has. She wasn't into the stuff thing. She wasn't into accumulating more stuff. She lived in a modest home. She didn't go on many fancy holidays. She lived a very modest life. She walked a lot of the times, didn't drive. And yet at the funeral service, there's this incredible testimony to how she impacted others. And people got up and they talked about her kindness and the way she mentored people, and how she extended love and blessing to others, how she came to them when they were hurting or in need of care, how she embraced them into her family, how she extended this love out through others even to farther reaches. And we heard this amazing testimony, and in the midst of it all, nobody talked about her stuff. Nobody talked about her stuff. Nobody talked about her fancy home and the fancy cars and the fancy trips, because they didn't matter to her. She had her ambition and her goal rooted in something very different than the world has. And it makes me think about a writer we looked at on Sunday, Ecclesiastes, who says all the ambition of the world, all the vanity of the world, it really adds up to nothing in the end. It doesn't matter how big your bank account is. It doesn't matter. What matters is the account of love that you've shared with people, and the connections you've made, and the differences that you've impacted on in the world around you because you cared enough to look up. In today's world, we are moving even faster towards that path of hyper-individualism, where people are disconnected from each other. And there's a growing longing and hunger and thirst for something different. Jesus calls us to walk on a different path than the one the world gives to us, a path whose ambition is rooted on heavenly things, maybe heavenly stuff, intangible things, the intangible things that matter the most in life, like your neighbor and how they're doing, and what ways that you can care and extend compassion to them. I struggle to allow a new ambition to come into my life. I struggle with that because I'm so consumed by the things that are right in front of me. But the funeral service reminds me again that without love, nothing matters.